cannot just go from Nigeria to clear my glute in Florida port. No, I have to walk through one or two persons to get things done. That is a norm. Now, the CBN policy is also aimed to check illegal, illegitimate drainage, draining of the country's scarce resources. Okay, that is true. But if it's well regulated, you can monitor where the fund is being routed to. Then the next thing you do is that you blacklist that individual from taking such in the near future.
Just like the companies that they just
exactly so you cannot take part again. So that will serve as a deterrent to others who want to do it. Okay. Because you cannot
stopping
everybody. No, because not everybody is doing that. You know. So then the policy will also reduce. You know, if the policy is actually implemented, the policy will reduce abuse which occur in the previous So the policy that the government wants to do can also, you know, can still be embarked on. Then the policy also will majorly affect foreign freight forwarders, since the rule says you can only deal with, you know, the ultimate beneficiary. So it's going to streamline one or two things. It should bring things. But the argument is this. The argument is that it's affecting some people more than the policy. This thing. And you see, in any policy, you should put human face. Don't just make policy.
And let me listen lastly to Elochukwu again. When you talk about human face, he also has a perspective too. You know, very interesting man he is, really. He has a perspective to this issue of having a human face.
Sometimes I ask myself, when people want to blame, they will blame the economy on the president. Is the president supposed to be a champion in all areas? He's supposed to appoint people who are presented to him as competent people, experts. And these are the people he appoints. And then I also think that Nigerians have a rule. It is not about the president's headache, if you ask me. Because if I am the president and you bring somebody and say he's good at this, and probably there are many qualifications and to support it, I will appoint him. But then we have structures in this government, including the National Assembly. And that's why I'm calling on the National Assembly to come and interrogate CBN. Based on their core mandate, have they delivered on it? And if they have not delivered, why? And rather than dabble into areas that will be complicating matters more and making lives miserable for more Nigerians, even though on the surface it say in order to ensure that costs are not carried and passed on to ordinary average Nigerians, yet what they have been doing over time has actually been stifling the condition of the average Nigerian. And you know, in Nigeria now, you can't talk. Many people have learned to be dumb. Rather, maybe we should go now and say, oh, the president has failed. The president has failed. The president is the micromanager. Those who are the micromanagers should be held accountable. And even in this case, I'm not even talking about the CBN governor. I'm talking about those directors, those who are under him, in charge of various departments. What have they been doing? And I think that is what our National Assembly and what our press should be interrogating.
Invoicing.
Because
over-invoicing.
Yeah, but that's what CBN is saying. That's what the CBN is saying. Back here in the studio, we still have Mr. Oyefeso, and of course, we still have Kenny Adeaga on the line. Kenny, please, could you explain to me this issue of over-invoicing? Because Elochukwu is saying that this is going to definitely bring about more hardship if this policy is not reversed.
Well, you see, when policies are issued, I once spoke with one of an operator, who said to me that when a policy is issued, Nigerians are used to looking at the loopholes in those policies to take advantage of it for their own betterment, not minding how it's going to affect the general economy. And because of that, when those issues bounce back, that is where you see them coming up with some other issues as to how it's going to affect the generality of Nigerians.
Of the
and that's when we talk about how it's going to affect the economy, which in this case is what is happening to some of these operators. When those policies came up to say, if you want anything outside this country, these are the process you have to go through. And these are the forms you have to fill.
Yes. What
they have been doing in the past is to do what the CBN can see against what they cannot see. And now the central bank had done the needful by going into details of forms that are presented to them. And when they call you to say, you have this demand, can you defend this? In most cases, we discover that most of these people cannot defend what they have presented to the central bank. And so central bank, in its wisdom, decided to say, okay, we are not going to argue with you, we are not going to do anything with you, but we'll bring a policy that will make you to do the needful. Otherwise, you won't get what is expected. And so what this cry is all about, I don't know. What I would expect the operators to do is to follow the due process. The era has passed where people demand unnecessary forex for unnecessary things, just to act their life.
So basically, they have a point, but there is a need for the policy.
Yes, there is a need for the policy, because if CBN does not come up with this policy, I can assure you that we will have a worse economy. Already, the pandemic has affected us. There's no doubt about that. But the operators also need to put the human face to what they are doing. How can somebody demanding for, say, 10 million US dollar to purchase an item that will not necessarily bring about increase to our GDP?
Wow.
If it is something you can produce in Nigeria,
like
why do you have to go all out to
like pencil or
toothpick? That's the most annoying one.
Oh no. Sometimes they're nice about it. Sometimes maybe
to talk some senses into themselves and be educated about policies. Anywhere in a situation where you don't understand the policy, you have the liberty to assess the regulator to say, this policy we are not in tune with it. We don't understand what you are saying about this, and they can explain to you. And if the explanation is acceptable to you, then you go ahead. When it's not acceptable, you abandon, you jettison it, you go away from it.
All right, Kenny, I need to let you go.
The central bank said, if you are bringing in hot drinks, we are going to ensure that this hot drink will attract higher percentage of cost.
Import
now,
duty.
They are doing that to make people not to import such thing. But what do we see? People still import them.
And Nigerians still buy them. As a matter of fact, Nigerians have developed the taste for for so-called exotic and very imported goods.
Yeah.
We buy imported rice, we buy imported vegetable oil, we buy imported servets. We practically want to buy imported wife. Wife.
Okay.
All right, Kenny, I need to let you go. Thank you very much this morning for joining me on this conversation. All right, Mr. Oyefeso, how do you